So you've outgrown the family hatch. You need something bigger to transport the family around in. It'd also be nice to be able to throw the camping gear in the back as well. Plus a bit of style and the ability to wander off road every now and again won't go amiss. Well, if they're your criteria, there's plenty of cars to choose from. But what about if you use 7 seats? Some of the list of potential cars is looking a lot smaller. However, the Audi Q7 does fit that bill. But is it any good? Well, as you can see, we've got one here, so let's try and find out. Now, the first thing that hits you about the Q7 is the sheer size of the thing. Might sound a bit obvious, but this is a big old bus. And you know what? Despite being massive, I still quite like the look of this. It's got a very distinctive front with these daytime running lights that are kind of distinctive of Audis of this generation. And yeah, it does a very successful job of sort of upscaling the family design language. This one in particular is quite a nice spec. So this is an S-Line Plus. So what does that mean? Well, on top of your normal S-Line upgrades, which is sort of body kit and some bits on the interior, you've also got 21-inch wheels, you've got running boards and some tints from here backwards. And yeah, overall I really like the look of this car. I do prefer the look of this generation over the newer generation. I find them a bit square and a bit awkward. But what we're really interested in with something this size is how practical it is. So let's have a look at the boot and see just how enormous it actually is. Now, one thing I'm not ashamed to admit is that I didn't realise all Q7s were actually 7-seaters. Now, obviously this one's got the seats folded down, but with them up, there's still a decent amount of boot space. However, with them down, there's a fairly cavernous load area. I believe, according to the internet, this is 2,035 litres worth of space. I always find those stats hard to relate to, but yeah, plenty of space in there for all your stuff. Now, another thing I'm ashamed to admit, turning this into a kind of mobile confession booth, is that all Q7s also came with air suspension. So what that means is there is a button in here, and I'm hoping if I press it, the car will lower. I don't know if you can see that, but the car is lowering. So that means if you've got heavy loads, when you come to the car, lower the suspension, you can get bigger things into the back more easily. Don't know if you can see that, but the car is now raising up, and yeah, that's quite posh. Right, now I realise the rear seats aren't probably for adults, but I'm going to give it a go. So this has been sort of folded forward, and I'm already kind of scared of this gap, so we'll see how well this goes. Ooh. So that took a little bit of flexibility, but I'm now in. So let's try and put this back. We have a slight issue. But as I said, I will fit. I'm determined to fit. Does that now? So that took some agility, but I managed to fit. Hopefully you can see me. There is just about enough room here for an adult. My head is kind of touching the ceiling though, so I wouldn't recommend it for long journeys, but if you really must, you can carry passengers, well, adult passengers, all the way at the back. Right, let's try and get out. So that's forward, isn't it?
Yeah, so you do that and then that slides forward.
And this is the not so graceful bit that I'll probably...
That's right, so an elderly person just couldn't do this.
Well, I mean, if they're a very small and flexible elderly person.
Yeah.
So obviously the rearmost seats aren't for adults, but what's it like here? Well, there's more than enough room. I'm just under 6 foot, I'm 5'11", and as you can see with these seats slid back, loads of room. It's nice and airy in here thanks to the panoramic roof, and there's also some air vents to help keep you comfortable on the longer journeys. Yeah, 10 out of 10 back here. Just avoid those if you're any height above, say, 2 foot. So what's the first impressions as you climb into the sort of cockpit of the Q7? Well, it feels very nice, as you'd predict from sort of a high-spec Audi. I will say, similar to the CLA that I did a video with the other week, this panoramic roof does seem to eat into headspace quite a lot. I'm 5'11", and that feels quite close to my head. You can lower the seat to sort of mitigate it. I'm not going to, because then the driver's just going to reset it. But yeah, it's a nice place to be. You've got your command centre in here, which is controlled by this. And now, as always, I'm going to have to give this some slack. As it's getting on a little bit, it's not necessarily the most user-friendly sort of system to use, but I'm sure spending some time with it would, you know, you'd become accustomed to it fairly easily. I think a standout for me is this little steering wheel. I think I say it in the test drive, but it makes it feel like you're driving something much smaller and much sportier. And yeah, it's just a nice, comfy, luxurious place to be. Right, so straight away then, we're with the owner of this Q7. I'm just going to ask you, why did you buy this car?
Yeah, originally, because I was still doing a lot of travel, I wanted something that was comfortable. So that was one priority. So the seating position, particularly when you're doing, you know, 2-3 hour journeys, Good visibility. It's actually safer. You feel safer because you're higher position, so you can see more of what's happening on the road. So that was one of the criteria. Second one, having 2 young children. This converts from a conventional 4 or 5 seater to a 7-seater.
Yeah.
So with children and grandchildren, it's a very versatile vehicle. So the real decision point was, do you want a normal commuter car, or do you want to go to a 4x4? So I decided 4x4 first. Then you go through the process of, is it Mercedes, is it Audi, is it BMW, is it Range Rover? And I literally did go around all options.
Right.
Hybrids, diesel. There wasn't many petrols in the day.
No.
Because everyone was pushing hybrids or diesel. And so then it was a matter of which car.
Yeah.
And so the follow-on question would be, why Audi then? Because
Yeah.
you look at all that range, and I'm not pro Audi. It was just value for money, the quality of the ride, the performance of the vehicle, the finish. Audi just sold it for me. I mentioned, this is the 4th Q7 I've had.
Yeah.
So I have become pro Q7.
Yeah.
And now the launch of the new Q8 for me will probably keep me on Audi. Actually, they've just brought it out at the right time.
Yeah.
This is starting to get a little bit tired and needed a major facelift.
So you briefly touched on why. I was just going to mention, why did you go for this spec? Because this is an S-Line Plus, isn't it? Were the other ones you had such?
Yeah.
Were they the same?
So Audi did a 4.2 version. This is a 3-litre TDI, although it's a special edition S-Line. The cost was about 10 to 12k more for the bigger engine.
Right.
And the only difference was just the engine.
Okay.
And this thing pumps out, I think we were saying before, is it 246 newton meters?
I think it's 245 PS. So.
Yeah, it's up there. It's got great torque on it. It's a diesel, 3-litre diesel. And even the guy said to me, I honestly can't upsell you the 4.2.
Right, okay.
Because this has got sufficient performance for what it is. If you want to go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, you're not looking at a 4x4. So yeah, great spec. The S-Line was more about the quality of the finish. I was in business then, still in business, still working, and I wanted that little bit of comfort and luxury.
Yeah, I think these seats
so the leather seats are all extras, and the S-Line is an extra spec. And even outside, I've got the door runners.
Yeah.
The
wheels,
the plates, the wheels are 20-inch wheels rather than the standard. So it was uplifted, the panoramic roof, a really nice spec. So a top spec, because at the time and even today, an Audi Q7 starts at about 52 to 54.
Right.
There's 17k's worth of extras on this.
Right.
So it was up there.
Yeah.
But in saying that, value for money, you look at a similar spec on BMW, Lexus, Mercedes, all similar for a similar spec, so it's up there competing. Range Rover was even more pricey and not a great spec for what you get. So
that's fair enough. So is there one standout thing? Is it the whole package? And would you say practicality is perhaps the biggest?
I think for versatility, for a family car, it is exceptional.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've as I say, this is the 4th in a long line of Q7s. I will probably go with the Q8 as well, and continue the tradition while the children are still young. Bike racks on the roof. This thing, these seats drop down, so this converts to a van as well. It is literally a wardrobe mover.
Right.
It's massive in the back. We can tip all the seats down, and I'll show you the versatility of it. It is, I can't say enough about it. In the summer, these roofs recline all the way back. There's a pan and tilt sunroof in the back for the children. It's a fantastic vehicle.
Cool. So we touched on this earlier. Now, for me, coming from my Renault Clio, this thing is a huge car.
Yeah, no, it is.
So, as I said earlier, does size actually become an issue at any point?
I mentioned before, Blade, the on the motorway and driving, it's fantastic because you've got the higher seating position. You can see this; it looks like a bit of a tank. You feel a lot safer. There's airbags all around. So from a drivability and a safety, you feel really comfortable in the car. On a size, sometimes, you go into some car parks, particularly the older ones, and it becomes an issue because the turning circle and turning curves on some of those old car parks were not designed for the Q7. And you can't but scuff the wheels. And that's a real disappointment because the wheels are scuffed as much as you try not to.
Yeah.
So actually now in Nottingham, there are car parks we don't go in.
Right.
Because the wheel turning base is just too tight. And even in the parking bays themselves, because of the width of it, it's about 6 foot wide, isn't it? You can't get the door open if there's cars parked either side. So you have to bias the parking over to one side.
They get out of the boot.
Genuinely, Wendy will verify, we were in Sheffield only this week, and I actually had to get in the passenger door to get across into the driver's seat because somebody had parked so close in the parking bay. They weren't over the line, but I just couldn't get the door open because they're long doors as well.
Yeah.
So it is a long wheelbase vehicle, and people new to it will think, oh my god, I can't park this thing. So you do need a bit of space.
Does it have cameras? Has it got rear cameras?
It's got rear cameras,
and it's got
front sensors as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Now, you touched on the driving. Obviously, with this being a fairly, I don't want to say amateurish review, but obviously I can't drive the car. On the whole, how do you find this thing on the road? Is it quick enough? How does it handle? Obviously, it's a bit of a boat. I mean,
it doesn't feel like a boat. I know exactly. Is the suspension? It's a really hard suspension, and we can look later. There's dynamic driving. You can put it in sport drive. You can put it in what's the term they use? Comfort. So you can have it in comfort drive, and it does become a lot softer. We've got it in dynamic. So if you accelerate the car, it knows you're doing speed, and it will increase the suspension.
Yeah.
So it's full hydraulic suspension. So disconcertingly, at the lights, when you are new to the car, it lifts.
Right.
It lifts and it will drop when you accelerate. So it is a fantastic feat of engineering as well that it's got this hydraulic suspension system.
That feels a bit odd, actually.
As I say, if the first time you see it, you think, "Oh my God, what's happened?" Because when you park the car, if it's being being driven, with speed, as soon as you park it and you switch the ignition off, the car comes back to its normal position. So it lowers the front. It is interesting. Yeah, we'll demonstrate it. We'll show you.
Right, this is a slightly cheeky question.
Yeah.
With this being a 4x4,
yeah,
do you ever take it off road?
No, I've not taken it off road. But an example of where it would be capable. We've been to Shropshire's really hilly, and in the winter a couple of years back, it was really icy and they hadn't been out and gritted. This thing just was like a mountain goat. It really was. It's 4x4.
Yeah.
It just climbed as though it was on a flat road. So, I've not taken it off road, dirt tracking or anything, but
you don't really
I think it's more than capable.
Well, that's fair enough. Get on to a slightly more boring topic now, but it's realistic. It's an interesting point. Has it been reliable? How many did you say you've had? Have they all been reliable?
So I've had this 4 years. I used it for 2 of those first years as a business car. So this thing was doing 20,000 miles a year, so 40,000. On the clock now, it's got 64,000 miles.
Yeah.
It's just been in for its 4th year service, and there has not been one fault on the vehicle.
Crikey, has that run through the previous ones? They've been pretty much faultless.
Yeah, they were newer when I changed them, but this is the oldest one, or the longest one I've kept hold of. But 4 years in, not a fault on the whole vehicle, which is phenomenal. And 64,000 miles, and it's been hammered. You know, those first 2 years, 20 odd thousand a year. Very reliable, very reliable. Which has biased me also towards staying with Audi.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's fair enough. So, sort of carrying on with that topic, what are the running costs like? You know, do you get through tyres? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little bit heavy on tyres. I say a little bit. You'll get 22,000 on a set of tyres, which is pretty good.
Yeah. Tyres
are not cheap though. Again, because it's an S-Line and spec'd up vehicle, they're 235s on the back.
Yeah.
£185 a pop.
Right.
So when you do have to change them, it's not cheap. But this is probably on its third set of tyres.
Well, it's not
bad. It's not bad. And they wear pretty evenly. You know, you get some. I know that Porsche Carrera that wears the back ones out pretty. Not the Carrera, the Cayenne.
Yeah, the Cayenne.
The 4x4. That wears the back ones out because I've got a pal who's got one that rips through the rear tyres.
Right.
This wear pattern is pretty consistent front to back.
Okay.
Yeah, so pretty good.
What's it like on
good
fuel?
economy.
Yeah.
Good economy. I don't drive it lightly, and I'm getting 29 plus.
It's not bad, really, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay, cool. Right, is there anything annoying about the car? So you obviously there might not be, but if you could change one thing about it, what would you change?
Well, as always, cost is. But you look at its competitors, and I mentioned before, it's a competitively priced vehicle, but they're bloody expensive.
Yeah.
What would I change?
Are there any niggles on the inside? Is it?
No, honestly, Blee, I'm no.
No, of course.
No, I'm honestly trying to think. When we come to the A5, there's a few niggles about the multimedia, but on this, it's talking just on the package. You know, it's fully air-conned.
Yeah.
It's got heated seats.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a multimedia center, so you can either do Apple AirPlay. It's got an Audi music interface where you can plug your iPhone in.
Right. Okay.
So, you know, if you had 4G and you connected it, I haven't, but you can connect it to 4G. You could have Spotify in here.
Yeah.
It's from a package. Good speaker system. Good quality sound. I don't think it's Bose but it's a good spec. It's Bose on that one actually.
Yeah.
I think this was pre the Bose relationship with Audi, but good quality sound system. Very versatile for the kids in the back. Yeah, honestly, there's nothing. Visibility's brilliant.
Yeah, well, I mean, if there's nothing wrong with it,
honestly, I wouldn't. Yeah, other than Audi working on trying to get the price down.
I don't know how they'll figure that one out.
No, they never will be able to.
So the final question, I think I know the answer. Simply, would you recommend one?
Absolutely. From if you're looking for a 4x4, and having looked at all the range, and granted I've not been back around the circuit for a few years, I wouldn't hesitate recommending an Audi Q7.
So the first impression in the Q7, I've never been in a car like this, is just how high you're sitting.
Yeah.
I quite like it because it's kind of like we're looking over other people.
Yeah.
So I can see why people.
The safety.
See what you were saying about the safety aspect.
Yeah, you can relate to why I commented on you just feel safer. You can see more of the road.
Yeah.
You can actually see further ahead.
You probably mentioned what engine this one's got, so you might have done it in the interview. It's a 3 litre TDI V6.
Yeah.
And you could get the Q7 with some low-powered petrol V6s. You could even get a V12 TDI.
Yeah.
But I think this engine's arguably the pick of the bunch, isn't it?
Yeah, well, there's the 4.2, which is if you really want it to be beefed up and a beefy car that you're going to razz round, you go for a 4.2. But I would question, why would you want to do that in a 4x4?
I mean, I've just noticed we've driven past a 7.5 tonner, and we were about on the same level as the driver.
Yeah. So if you just watch the acceleration on this thing, it's not sheepish, and I'm taking it easy on that bend.
Yeah. Yeah, she picks up, doesn't she?
Yeah, it does. You know, we're doing 70.
Yeah, still doing 70.
Yeah, no, it moves. Well, interesting you asked the question on these paddle controls. I've never used it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the performance is nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
I mean, that's
Isn't it?
straight up to 40. Like,
Yeah, it's instant, isn't it?
it's just,
and there's so much more torque. You could carry on accelerating.
yeah. I mean, like, you just do that.
And the mid-range acceleration's good. You know,
Yeah.
you're doing 40, 50, it will still pull away as it did then.
Yeah, it's very nice.
And that's why, you know, I've stayed at the 3 litre level. There's no need to that extra 12, 15k for the 4.2.
My immediate impression is there's one of, it just feels planted. It feels like a sturdy vehicle,
Yeah.
and it feels like it's been well built, and it's a relaxed sort of,
Yeah.
a nice easy car to drive.
It is.
With absolutely no problems. I really like the steering wheel as well, because
Yeah.
feels quite thin and nice in the hand, doesn't it?
It does, and obviously all these user interfaces on there.
Yeah, yeah.
You can control the audio.
Yeah, I'm not going to try and mess around with those just
No,
yet.
no, probably not.
Obviously, I've only just got in the car, but the throttle pedal, I'm finding it a little bit difficult to quite figure out what it wants.
But in sport, even when I'm driving it in sport, you will get that
Yeah,
inertia where it pulls you forward and it pushes you back because it's just throwing so much torque to the back wheels.
yeah. I think it's a rear bias, isn't it, the Quattro? So is it 60,
Yeah, so
60-40?
Yeah, so it's 4x4. It's got ATS, so it's got automatic traction sensing.
Right, okay.
So when you if it does get into a bit of a slip, it will prioritise and give whatever torque to whatever wheel it needs to.
Yeah, yeah. I'll get used to this.
Yeah.
I think, as I've said, as long as you don't come into this expect it to be a scalpel sharp driving machine,
No,
it's a really nice thing to cruise about in.
It is.
I'm not going to fit in that gap though, am I?
See, here's a good example of how big it is. You will get down there.
It just doesn't
but
feel like
it's a
it.
bit scary that.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. See, it's a big car, isn't it?
But I mean, the thing with that is, you'd get used to it.
it.
Yeah.
You would.
There's always, whenever you're in something new, there's always a learning curve, isn't there?
Yeah.
So to summarise then, there was a few things I expected coming into this video. I thought the car would be desirable, I thought it'd be luxurious, I knew it'd be good to look at, I also knew it'd drive fairly well. What I didn't think though is it'd be quite such a versatile vehicle. So you've got them 7 seats and they could be folded flat, and you've pretty much got a van with some S-line trinkets on it. But I think above all of that, I wasn't expecting the owner to be quite such a be so positive about it and to go out and recommend it quite so easily. So I think with that being said, I'm just going to say goodbye. I've been Blee, thank you for watching and please subscribe.